Postal 2 is a special game to me, and Running with Scissors will always be one of my favourite video game companies. They respect their fans first and foremost. They have made consistently entertaining games, and I'm a huge fan of Mike and Vince. That being said, Postal 2 has been touted as one of the worst video games ever by critics, a moniker that Running with Scissors proudly displays. It's obviously not the worst video game of all time, as Postal 2 can provide you with countless hours of entertainment. The game doesn't take itself seriously in the slightest. Everything you see in Postal 2 is in good fun, and I love it for that reason. Some people might consider the humour tasteless, but I think the overall tone is so over the top and nonsensical that you can't really be that offended by the game. It's like getting offended by a trauma movie. It's pointless because of how wacky it's trying to be.
Oh man.
What?
Postal 2 is a direct response to the controversy that Postal 1 got when it came out. Postal 1 was banned from certain retailers due to its excessive violence, so Postal 2 features more insane kills you can pull off. Postal 1 was considered a pretty edgy game due to the Postal Dude's diary entries and stuff of that sort. So naturally, Postal 2 was the complete inverse and made the game like a cartoon. An extremely gory and fucked up cartoon, but still. Postal 1 was called a murder simulator, so Postal 2 had the player going around completing real life activities, like returning books to the library and buying milk for your spouse. Senator Joe Lieberman went to war with Running with Scissors over the first Postal game, so Postal 2 has a nice lovely message for him. Postal 2 was the game that put Running with Scissors on the map, and it has developed a cult following. Plenty of mods are still being made for it, and Running with Scissors supported the base game at least right up until 2015. Postal 2 is truly an iconic game, and I can't really do it justice, so I can only give my perspective. Postal 2 begins with a pretty atmospheric opening cutscene, featuring shots of a town of paradise, and this is not really indicative of the game's actual tone. There's no music, just an Atmos track, and this intro gives me Evil Dead vibes for some reason. The game stars the Postal Dude, Champ the dog, and more characters from the game itself, which kinda informs the player that Postal 2 is a parody of its predecessor. The Postal Dude is voiced by Rick Hunter, who returns from Postal 1. And I love his wise-ass demeanor in this game. Every line he says is dripping with sarcasm, and what else can I say? Rick Hunter is the Postal Dude. The game starts on Monday, and on each day you perform various tasks written on the dude's sticky note. Get milk, pick up paycheck, and cash paycheck are the errands given out on Monday, and from there Postal 2 allows players to explore the open world. More sections of the map are available throughout the week, which is kind of a shame, and it's kind of annoying how the world is cut up into little hubs with loading screens in between. Since this is an older game, the loading is extremely quick, but it still breaks the immersion a touch. At least there's quite a few distinct locations to explore in Paradise, and you are able to open almost every door that you see and check out the interiors. One of my biggest pet peeves in open world games is the fact that there are no buildings you can enter, but with Postal 2, this is not an issue. Early on, most of the weaponry and armor you get is by busting into people's homes and stealing their shit. As I said before, on Monday the player needs to get some milk. When you enter the local shop, you can either steal the milk without any fucks given, or you can be a law-abiding citizen and purchase it. I love how open-ended Postal 2 is. The fact that you can play the game completely straight or like a homicidal maniac is incredible. While I don't think that Postal 2 is an immersive sim per se, it does give the player tools to do whatever they want, and tiptoe around morality however they see fit. Going back to the shop location, there's a secret terrorist hideout right above, and Postal 2 has a ton of little hidden areas like this. I mean, behind the postal dude's house, there's a pipe that leads to an underground sewer system with terrorists hiding out. This game has all sorts of interesting locations with cool items to find.
That's the stuff.
Speaking of the items, they range from extremely useful to just entertaining gimmicks. The crack pipe and the various other health items are wonderful to equip during combat encounters. If you've seen Civvie's Pro Postal series, which let's face it, you all probably have, then I don't need to go into the importance of crack. I tend to go into the 7-Eleven store, kill the cashier and take all of their donuts though. They don't give a lot of health back on their own, but there's a whole bunch in this shop, which is nice. Anyway, there's also pizza, bags of fast food, and just standard medkits to keep you going throughout the game.
I feel better. I definitely need more of that. That stuff really works.
One of my favorite items in Postal is the cat, since you can attach them to some of your guns as a silencer. Sticking a cat onto your gun was so funny to me as a kid. I say was so funny, but fuck it, it's still a great idea. So the Postal dude works for the fictional version of Running with Scissors. Their logo first showed up within the Postal universe in the Special Delivery expansion for Postal 1, but here their presence is way more blatant.
What? You don't sell Postal?
Running with Scissors exists in Postal 2 in a very meta way in this world, and I'm all for it.
Hey, Vince is in his office. You
Now
better go
the
see him.
flowers will grow. Thanks.
What the fuck?
The dude gets fired from his game development job, but at least he has a solid paycheck he can cash at the bank.
Nothing personal, man, but you're fired.
But I just started yesterday. And done.
Before the player has a chance to do that, however, an angry mob of parents that blame violent video games on real-life violence storms the building. This is your first introduction to the scripted events, in which the game has several throughout the week. On each day, there will be more and more extremist groups to watch out for, and when you're out exploring the open world, they attack you on sight. This makes walking through town on the last couple of days more dangerous, and helps add some challenge to the endgame.
Smells like chicken.
The last errand I had to do today was cashing my paycheck into the bank. There's an awful waiting queue, so I just lit all of the customers on fire and burned the fucking place to the ground essentially.
What the?
The dude can also catch a light, but fortunately you can piss on yourself to put out the fire. Yeah, so the pissing mechanic is probably the most famous part of Postal 2, and for good reason. There doesn't need to be a pissing system, but there is, and it's just so much fun. Anyway, the AI in this game is pretty fucking strange, and they react in the most goofy ways sometimes. Take the bank scenario. Everyone is on fire and slowly dying, yet the employee just stands in place. Postal 2 is a jank game, no question about it, but it's lovable at the same time. Let's talk about the gunplay, since shooting at bad guys is what you'll be spending a lot of your time doing. In short, the combat in this game is not good, and I say that as a massive fan of Postal. The weapons don't feel that punchy, enemies are quite bullet spongy, and headshots don't even sometimes register properly. Even when you shoot an enemy at point blank range with a fucking shotgun. Nobody is going to fall in love with Postal 2 because of its shooting mechanics, but the game's charm and open-ended gameplay makes up for it. There's also a good variety of weapons to choose from, with the developers adding many more when the game was put on Steam. The melee weapons are way more creative and enjoyable to use than the firearms, and you can find them on random spots in the map. The way that you hack people's limbs off is fucking brilliant, and the game has a pretty solid gore system. So after a long day, the Postal dude goes back to his trailer and gets chewed out by his wife. This happens another 4 times before the credits roll. Confessing your sins, convincing people to sign your petition, returning a book to the library, and grabbing Gary Coleman's autograph are the tasks for Tuesday. Now the Postal dude has a ton of funny lines, but him asking people to sign his petition might be my favorite.
Hi there, would you like to sign my petition?
No way, you freaking pinko.
You gotta be fucking. Would you please sign my petition?
Okay, I guess that sounds pretty good.
Thanks. Hi there, would you like to sign my petition?
Okay, I guess that sounds pretty good.
Thanks. Would you please sign my petition?
Okay, I'll do it.
Thanks.
By the way, with a petition such as this one, how could anybody take this game seriously? The marching band returns from Postal 1, and they are just asking to get murdered with their matching outfits and shit.
Hi there, would you like to sign my petition? Would you please sign my petition? Hi there, would you like to sign my petition?
As the days go on, the task locations get more and more spread out, which can be annoying. There are no vehicles in this game, so you have to travel from one area of the map to another on foot. This wouldn't be so bad if you were able to sprint or something, but you can't unfortunately. I adore Postal 2, I think it's extremely charming and it oddly holds up to this day, but there are little features that I wish they included. A run button is one of those. So you head off to the library, and once you return the book, a protest group that is against books because they are bad for the environment burns the place to the ground. You were introduced to some light platforming as you make your way out of the building, and it's a cool little set piece. The real highlight of Tuesday is when you go to the Paradise Mall to meet Gary Coleman. If you try to fight him, he will most likely kill first time players as he tosses grenades towards you. I love how they provide him with a fucking machine gun as well, and I also find the freedom that this game presents you with awesome. I know I've said that a couple of times now, but it needs to be reiterated because the open-ended nature of the game is actually quite impressive for the time. Postal 2 doesn't send you back to a checkpoint if you kill Gary or if you don't go down the intended path. There is no intended way to operate, and that's refreshing. There are many so-called open world games that have very linear level progression, where you have to perform tasks that the game asks of you in a very specific way. Postal 2 throws all of that out the window and you decide how you want to proceed.
Hi. That'll work. Thanks.
Sounds reasonable.
The final task to do on Tuesday is visit the church to confess your sins. Instead of waiting in line like a fucking chump, I took the Gary Coleman approach and blew them all up with a grenade.
Close enough. Time to head home.
The church gets invaded by terrorists shortly after, and the dude will have a couple of run-ins with this group over the course of the game. pissing on dad, voting in the election, and buying a Christmas tree. Extremely mundane chores on Wednesday, especially that first one. Apparently the citizens of Paradise vote in their local Chinese takeaway shop, which is just a fucking funny detail. Luckily there's some police officers around to make sure there aren't any fraudulent votes. At first glance, Wednesday seems like a pretty basic day with only a couple of small activities to complete. But as you're pissing on your dad's grave, a pair of rednecks hit you with a shovel and drag you back to their lair. I would say that it's unfortunate that the postal dude has a mouthful of piss as he falls down on the grave, but he's been pissing in his mouth the entire week so far when he gets lit on fire. So you wake up in a fucking gimp suit, and I found this to be a surprisingly great twist when I first played this game. Once you beat the ever-loving shit out of the Rednecks, you escape from their brewery, and this section features some Half-Life residue processing-esque platforming. Even though a couple of platforming bits can be kind of annoying, I do really like this part of the game. After you escape, the townspeople laugh their asses off at the idea of the dude in a gimp suit, which is just another awesome detail in this game.
Wow, that's gotta change.
By Thursday, you're pretty much stocked up on weaponry, which is good, but the errands are kind of forgettable in my opinion. This is probably the best day to free roam, since you have all of the guns and ammo you need, but you aren't getting bombarded by bad guys either, like you do on Friday. That being said, a Crotchy boss fight occurs on this day, and this is actually a pretty tough encounter. He shoots out guided missiles in this enclosed space, and it can get really chaotic really quickly. Using the rocket launcher to murder people is incredibly fun, but getting blown up with it is the exact opposite.
My grandmother could beat the game if she saved as much as you do.
We've reached the final day of Postal 2, and running with scissors just threw everything at the wall on Friday. Terrorists are shooting rockets at you from the rooftops and hillsides, cats are literally falling out of the sky, and rabid dogs attack you in the junkyard. Yeah, so Friday gets pretty mental, but I wouldn't want to have it any other way. Postal 2 is a game that means a lot to me. It's been a part of my life for like a decade at this point, and I'm looking forward to replaying it yet again in the future. Postal 2 might not be as technically impressive as a Grand Theft Auto, and might not have better gunplay than Doom, but the game oozes charm out of its fucking pores, and it's truly deserving of a cult following. I mean, there's so many mods, fan art, and fuck, the ultimate tribute to Postal is even on YouTube with Civvie's Pro series. That all being said, it's been my pleasure to enter the town of Paradise for a week and make this video. Make sure to sign my petition and to regret nothing.
Honey, I'm home. You won't believe the day I've had.
About friggin' time. Did you remember my rocky road?
Oh.